What is up, plant community? So, if you like my videos and you like my content, go ahead and give me a like, share, and subscribe. It really helps me out, it helps the channel out. And if you would like, go ahead and hit that bell icon so that way you could be notified of the videos I upload here on my YouTube channel if you like my content. So, today I figured we'd do a care video on my beautiful Phoenix robellini or Pigmy date palm, which is doing really good. So the Pigmy date palm or Phoenix robellini, what do you need to know to care for this particular palm? So where they grow, they are a dwarf species of palm, the Pigmy date palm, which is the name of Pigmy date. It basically stands for a dwarf variety of palm. Now, they do get big, but not like a coconut palm or a majesty palm or a queen palm out there. It won't get that tall, but with that being said, they are fairly slow growers. Where they naturally grow in the wild, they grow underneath the canopy of trees. So they do good in shade, dappled light. They are actually one of the better palms for an indoor palm, as they can deal with more indoor lighting better than, say, what a majesty palm could, or even a queen palm, or a fishtail palm. But with that being said, they do prefer a good amount of light, and they would probably do best up against a light that is receiving, a window that is receiving a good amount of light coming through all day, especially during the winter. Now, during the winter, you don't want these guys to get too cold. So, for example, in the wintertime, when I was overwintering this a little bit, because it kind of was the end of winter, it was really spring, to be honest. So, whenever I had this guy, I only let him see the max temps of 50 degrees. I heard they can take 40 degrees with some damage to the fronds. Now, here in Indiana, I did let him take down the 40 degrees. And I did notice a damage. But he's still kicking. He's still doing good. You just got to remember, though, that root system, if you have it in a pot, care for it in a pot, that if you have it in a pot, that it's generally going to be colder in the pot than it will if it's actually in the ground. So it's important to remember that. So it's a fairly easy palm to grow. I use my Miracle Grow palm fertilizer and cycad fertilizer, which seems to work really well for these guys. They seem to like it. I use it every 3 months. I think it's 6 months. I'll have to look on the fertilizer, but go by your natural fertilizer by what the container says to do. Heavy fertilizing, I'm not sure if these guys are particularly heavy on the fertilizer because I don't use liquid feed. I use slow release on these guys, so I could say that in particular. Now, direct sun, I have noticed that here they kind of suffer in the direct sun, and I think that's just because they're young and they really ain't got a trunk on them yet. So, like, over in my local nursery, they have a pretty big Phoenix robellini or Pygmy date palm. And they take that and they just place it out in the sun like it's nothing. It does get scorched, but it grows back just fine. Whenever I've done that, it tended to die, especially trying to overwinter it. So I've been keeping it more in a shady location as the centerpiece of the porch. Now in the wintertime, let's talk about winter care. So winter care, they won't require as much water as they do in the summertime. In the summertime, you want to keep it moist but not drenched. So that's something to keep in mind. You want to let it dry out a little bit, then water it. Just also keep in mind, if you got 3 trunks, they're going to root into the pot quicker than what they would if you had 1 trunk. Another important thing to remember. They do great in humidity. So when you take them and you overwinter them, keep them by a full spectrum light or keep them close by a window or near a window. They'll do all right for you. Keep them away from cold drafts. If you live in a place like Canada or more up north where it's colder and your winters ain't like ours now where they're mild, but we still drop into the 30s. Don't let that see temps that low. It will kill this palm. The coldest that it can take I've seen is 50, and I haven't tried to push it any more than that because I'm scared I'll lose the palm. They are kind of fragile. You don't have to water them as much. That's where I've made the mistake of trying to overwinter these guys, is when you over water them, they will just completely die. There is no chances of them coming back. So that's important to note, is they don't need as much water because they're not getting as much light, as much heat as they would during the summertime. So that's very important to remember. Fertilizing. So during the winter time, I kick off the fertilizer. I don't fertilize any of my palms. What fertilizer I have left that I gave them at the end of summer is what they have left, and that's what they gotta carry on for winter. I might fertilize maybe a tiny bit with the fertilizer, but I don't try to do it too much. I don't try to add fertilizer to them really at all. I try to keep them away from that because it could do more harm than good at times. And it could harm the plant too. So that's really about it on the care of the Pigmy date palm, or Phoenix robellini. A very good palm. They're a feathery palm. Another thing to be cautioned about is these down here. They do have little spikes. Mine hasn't hardened off yet, but I'm sure it will when it gets much older, and they're painful. So be aware of that. They are painful. So when you're repotting, or if you're going to put in the ground, I'd recommend having gloves just in case you're going to repot it or put in the ground. If you're going to put it in the ground, say you live in a place like where I live up north and you want to put this guy in the ground, just to let you know, that's going to be really hard. That's going to be one of the harder palms to zone push because you've got to keep the root system warm. Not only do you have to keep the root system warm, but you got to keep the top of it warm. And you can't let no wet water that's cold get into that crown because it can cause crown rot. With that being said, though, I literally about tripped. Okay, but with that being said, though, that's really about it for the Pigmy Day palm. I mean, care for the summertime is pretty good. Insects, I forgot to go over that. So what I've noticed with this guy really is when it comes to pest is scale. Hard scale, soft scale, just scale in general. So like this guy, when I got him, because I got him in the spring before they got their shipment, you can see there was if I could find it, there was remnants of scale on it. And they made sure they cured that for me before they gave it to me, which was awfully nice of them. Now I'm not having any issues with it. That seems to be really the main pest problem with my palms that I have, actually. I don't seem to have any other issues but scale. But with that being said, that's really about it of the pest issues. Of course, look for spider mites, anything like that that may harm it. And then, of course, handle it accordingly with what chemicals you can get and chemicals you can afford, or even natural types of chemicals. Like I use neem oil for me. Seems to work really well for my palms. My palms don't seem to really skip a beat whenever I use that. Just gotta, keep it out of the crown. Which is why palms are so difficult whenever you gotta get rid of insects, because they're usually in that crown. Another third. Blah, 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 can't talk. Sorry, it's been a week. Anyways, you want to have good airflow on them too, because any moisture that will get into the crown could harm it. So, just another thing, if you're gonna overwinter this and not treat it like an annual, that's one thing you got to worry about. Other than that, that's it. It's just an easy palm to care for. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and have a nice rest of the day.